Good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show. Yeah. Radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Well, we do our best on all of those, don't we, Benny?
I think so.
I think we do.
A pretty good job at it.
I think we do a great job, especially that open the heart thing, you know. Whoop, it's already happening.
Should be 24 hours a day.
You know, I try to act tough, and Betty reveals my secrets of softness, you know, like she's soft.
Well, you're putting it out like people obviously aren't understanding. There was some emotional discussion earlier before we started, and you just needed some tissue, and we're good now.
I did.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to all
I have
of
a
us.
sensitive side as well.
Yeah.
So
I have people come to me, and you know, I'll be working on them, and they'll start crying, you know, because the emotion comes up, and we clean that out, and they'll go, Loretta, I'm not really crying. I don't know what that is coming out of my eyes.
I've just got something in both my eyes,
running down
watering.
the sides of my face. They're watering,
one,
and actually, it is an emotional. It's an energetic release quite often. So. We don't always understand that at a conscious level, but there it is. So I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located here in the greater Seattle area. We are in our 22nd year of business. And for those of you that know, you know, we actually do all kinds of things there, to include Reiki, because that's where we started from. And then we expanded out. And there's beautiful things coming up. Please watch for the Crystal Bowl healing concerts and the sound and vibration and all of that good stuff. So check it out at the scheduler. We also have Reiki classes coming up. Reiki 2 will be on July 8th. And I will be at Japan Fair July 8th and July 9th doing a little presentation on energy medicine and what that is all about. And you might just want to come by. It's a free presentation. I'll just be in the main part of the Maiden Bauer Center in Bellevue. So check out Japan Fair online. The Temple for the Divine Feminine, that I do all my deep healing work with women, will be Saturday, July 15th. And that class is by invitation only. So, because we only have so many spaces, you know, when I do this deep work, I like to keep it intimate, keep it in a small enough group that we can really handle it and everybody gets special attention. So if you are interested in that work with women, we are working on actually healing the wounds of the womb, which is a difficult thing to say, by the way. Don't say it 10 times fast. But if you're feeling called to it, and I'm a firm believer that sometimes if you hear someone talking about something like this temple work or the Reiki classes or whatever, and you start to have this little flutter inside you, that's for you. That's a little indicator from the body that, yes, this is for you. Give it another thought. And you might feel that flutter today also because we're going to have a call-in show in a minute with my amazing guest. And like I say, you know, it only takes a moment to dial the phone, but that little sweaty palm, that little tripping around on the inside of the self is meaning it's your turn. Uh-oh. What are you going to do? And we're not walking on fire today. You'll just be calling in with a question. Well, maybe that is walking on fire, Betty. I don't know. That is what it is.
Firewalker.
That's right. Firewalker. Right.
I've always wanted to try that, by the way. It's just as exciting, or could be like walking on Legos with bare feet.
Well, I've actually done it.
Both?
I have.
Right?
Penny, you're spot on. Yeah,
that's my challenge every morning at my house. So.
The Legos and the Egos and the Lincoln Logs.
The Legos, Egos, and the Lincoln Logs, right.
Cheerios, you know, it kind of gets...
All of it.
It runs together. It's all energy with little illusionary boundaries. That's all.
Great.
Yeah. Also, Trisha McIntyre's going to be here in Seattle July 16th. And she's been on my show. She's a great friend, and there'll be more information to follow. But you might want to take a look at Saturday evening, July 15th. Excuse me. I think I said the 16th. I think Saturday is the 15th. And so there will be more information to follow regarding that. Also, I want to thank my listeners. I'm a listener-supported show at patreon.com. And a big, heartfelt thank you to all of you that contribute to this show being on the air because, as you know, I love doing this, and I hope you love listening. And the goal is always to bring you something to listen to in the morning. Maybe you're up, you're drinking your Starbucks coffee, and maybe you're in traffic, which I hope is not too bad this morning, but Benny told you all about that.
It's not too bad.
Not too bad.
You know, summer's already in swing now, and a lot of the schools are ending last week and then this week. So everyone taking vacations, and so, you know, a little less traffic, but it's still, you know, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to put a little ad out here for my friend T.B. Bodicon, who runs A1 Senior Care Advisors. And I have to tell you that, you know, if you're in a position where you're trying to find a place for your senior, your mother, your father, your loved one, or someone that, you know, has gotten to that point in life where they're elderly and they really need some help, and you just do not know where to turn, I highly recommend that you call A1 Senior Care Advisors. It is a free service. That's right. It's a free service to help place your loved one into an appropriate assisted living or an adult family home or a dementia Alzheimer's care facility. And A1 Senior Care Advisors is committed to help families navigate the complexity of elder care on all levels. So call A1 Senior Care Advisors at 425-324-5592. And that number again is 425-324-5592, or go to a1seniorcareadvisors.com and get help. You know, don't be afraid to reach out and ask. Like I said, it is free. Wow. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So thank you, TB, for that. Thank you for being on the planet. And this work that he does, by the way, is very heartfelt. It's coming from a place within him where he really wants to give back. So thank you for that. Now, for those of my listeners who like to follow the stars, I have just the briefest little mention because I want to get my guest on the show. But July is a very important month, and it's preparing us for this great total solar eclipse of the sun on August 21st. And the total eclipse of the sun is really the big event they're talking about. Here in the United States, of course, it's going to be a total eclipse going from Portland, Oregon, all the way across to, I think it's North or South Carolina, just making a big line straight across the United States. And there's going to be thousands of people viewing it. And as always, if you're viewing a solar eclipse, get your little solar eclipse glasses. Don't look straight up at the sun, please. And so there's a lot of action going on. We've got a lot of excess fire and water energy rolling around in July. And this combination of fire and water, I want you to think of steam, volcanic activity, the combination can make us lose our cool. So expect unexpected turns of events and unanticipated decisions and great insights. So be gentle with each other, be gentle with yourself. And I always like to say, you know, begin with self-love, begin with self-forgiveness, you know, for whatever you think you need forgiveness for. And then just kind of exhale a little bit, and believe me, you'll get through it. You'll get through to the other side. You'll keep cool and probably avoid a whole lot of things that don't need to happen, and learn your lessons, and off we go from there. So the good way to handle this type of energy, by the way, is sometimes just be a little bit more physical. Go take a walk, you know, jump up and down, clean up those Legos, Egos, and whatever else is on the floor with the kids, and give them a big hug. That's what you're going to do. So without any further ado, I want to bring my guest on because I'm very excited to have her here. I'm very honored to have her here. My guest is Patti Conklin. She's a world-class energy healer. She is a much sought-after facilitator who shared her experiences and changed lives at hundreds of workshops, lectures, and conferences. She is an amazing medical intuitive and really a very unique person with the gifts that God has blessed her with. Over 14 books have referenced Patti's work, and she even had an episode of The X-Files partially based on her life and experience. And so without further ado, Patti, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Loretta. I really appreciate being here and being a part of this and listening to this intro of yours and Benny's dialogue about Legos and Egos, because I've been experiencing that every weekend with the grandbabies.
See? There you go.
I felt like I was sitting right there. Yeah, Legos and Egos is just commonplace.
Yeah.
Well, so I have twin boys that are 6.5, so that's pretty much where my summer's even still headed. So.
Absolutely, yeah. These guys are 4, so they're totally into their Legos.
Yep.
Get them all in the same room. It'd be just kids all over the place, which would be great.
It would. But thank you for having me here.
Yeah, Benny's twins are adorable. There are 2 little Bennies running around, and then there's Benny.
So 3 little ones, basically. There's 3 of us.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, goodness.
Well, yeah, we do. We are childish sometimes, or childlike, right? You know.
Mm-hmm, right.
But
absolutely.
Yeah. But I want to talk about you, Patti, and what it is that you do, and it's so unique. I'm not even quite sure how to introduce you, but maybe you could just give the listening audience a little bit of background, a little bit of explanation as to who you are and what you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I've had my capabilities since birth, but I didn't really understand I was different until I was 21. I didn't have a lot of friends. I came from a very addictive family, and so I moved out when I was 12 because I realized I was beyond my parents' comprehension, and their life was not the one I wanted to walk. And so, I finally at 21, I realized that the world did not see everything in particles, and that everything wasn't in gray shade, that there were actually colors, but my world was pretty much particle based. And I did have a visitation at 7. Had never heard of God, but I was told 3 things, and I was told that 38 to 42 would be my greatest growth years. 42 to 62 would be my greatest contribution to humanity. And the purpose of my walk was to teach people to become insubstantial without transitioning. And even though I was precocious at 7, I had no clue what that meant. And as life went on, when I was 12 and I moved out, I was talking to one of my teachers at school, telling her about my world. And she said, "You remind me of Edgar Cayce. Let me give you some money. Go buy Edgar Cayce's book and read it." And I reached for the top shelf, and my body just became frozen. And I heard the voice inside of me say, "Stop. Do not contaminate the information and knowledge you already have inside of you with someone else's thoughts." And I'm 12, and I'm like, "Great, fine. Just give me my arm back. Everybody's looking at me. I'm in this mid-freeze." And so I never went to a workshop. I shouldn't say never. I did one weekend of hypnosis because the voice told me to. Father is what I call it. But I've never trained. I've observed. And as I got into my late 20s, I began to realize that I was literally seeing what the rest of the world wasn't, which was the spaces and the particles behind what they thought were physical. So, silly me. I mean, I started a nonprofit early, and my first big speaking program was in Japan. And they put me in a very fancy hotel. And I walked in, and there was so much marble and glass. I had to sit and go, "Will somebody come help me walk to the counter?" Because I literally was blind. So as time went on and I turned 38 and I began doing the work, it really is about, I say I'm a really good vibrational manipulator. It just doesn't look good on a business card. So I kind of put medical intuitive, vibrational mediator. But in essence, it's being able to see inside the human body 6 weeks ahead of traditional medicine. So a doctor can call me from anywhere in the world, and as long as he's seen his patient within 72 hours. If they've done scans and blood work, everything's coming back normal, but they know they have a problem, then I can let them know where to start. I have my own client base throughout the world, 66 countries so far, and just working with them and helping them get better. And sometimes it is, just manipulating their particle field to get them back in alignment. So I think it's really just taking that subtle energy field, which in science we would call the immune system, and helping them get to the depth of the emotion that created the blockage. And, it just kind of goes all over the place, between lectures of vibrational medicine or energy medicine. But it's always about getting back to the emotion that created the disease. And sometimes there's times when I look at this little just cute blob sitting in a rocking chair, which I see on every single human being, just rocking. And if there's a suitcase there, then I know that the soul has chosen to go. And then it becomes a matter of how do I help them get out of fear in order to make their transition.
Wow. That is so amazing. I have to sit with it for a moment. So your reality, when you're looking around, like you look around a room, you're seeing the vibration, the particles, the energy.
That's correct. If you were watching television and the cable goes out and you get snow, that's my world. Like I could tell you something was blue or green, but I'd never be able to tell you what shade of blue or green. And my poor sons, when they were teenagers, I'd get ready to go do a TV show or a radio show. If I walked out of my bedroom and my son sat there and go, "Oh, Mama, you look beautiful," I know I did okay. If I walked out of the bedroom and they looked at me and they go, "Oh, Mama, you're so pretty," I know I didn't match. And then there'd be a squabble for a few minutes. "I dressed her last week." "No, I did it last week." And then one of them would get up and take me in my bedroom and pick out an outfit for me to put on. So, but it was so natural to me that I didn't really know it was different. But if I'm given something, Loretta, that I've never seen before, I have to feel it like a blind person until it comes into shape and form for me so that the particles condense. And if I saw you in person or just over the phone, I see your particles, not your facial features. So if I see you in the grocery store, if I'm in Bellevue, which used to be a lot in, I would recognize you in the grocery store by your energy signature, not by your facial features. And, you can get into problems sometimes with that. I was dating a new guy from New York, and I was in L.A., and he was coming in for my program. And I was sitting with a bunch of my friends waiting for him to come in, and I saw him walking down the hallway, and I went running out, and I jumped in his arms, and I gave him a big kiss, and my best friend was standing there, and he says, "Patty, that's not him." And I had to jump back out, that humanness, and the guy's just standing there. I'm like, just totally mortified. But he had a similar enough frequency, and I didn't pay attention close enough to make sure that was my boyfriend. So we've had some funnies through the lifetime, certainly of the boys growing up with me. But recognizing that I really, there's sometimes a sense of loss. I mean, there's joy because I'm able to manipulate the particles and help people, I think, at a deep level. But in the human world, it just makes for some really good comedy.
Well, and I'm thinking that it's a good thing they understood about you at some level because, a lot of people don't understand what you're just saying. Like, how could she possibly do that, right?
Right.
And, right. Mm-hmm.
I really feel that God gave me sons who grew me. Being so young and being out on the streets and, finishing up high school but staying very alone. I was given these two sons that Daniel, when he was born, was pre-verbal, i.e. he was speaking very early, and by age 2 we already had a 10-year-old comprehension level. And Matthew came along shortly, and literally when they were 6 and 7 years old, they sat me down and they said, "Mom, we've been talking, and we're beginning to understand you're not like other mothers. And I'm like, okay. And Dan said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but you can't cook and your housekeeping isn't any better. And I'm like, true story. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to, that's not my world with frequency, just seeing frequency. You can't see it. And so he said, I'm taking over the kitchen and all of the cooking, and Matthew's taking over the laundry and cleaning of the house. And Loretta, I did not walk in my kitchen for another 10 years.
Wow.
I'd come home from Bangladesh at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they would have, Dan would have homemade chicken soup on the stove waiting for me, and Matthew would have all my clothes done and in the closet. So they understood, and I really believe that I was given them because no matter how eccentric I am, even in front of Dan's wife, who's a pharmacist, so she's Western trained. And I'm like, oh, I've got to leave my body and go to India and help this Swami die. He's reached out for me today. So would you just touch me every half hour to make sure I don't get too far away from my body? And Dan's just eating his spaghetti. He's like, sure. She's huge eyes going, what? And I'm like, this guy just needs some help leaving his body. So I'm just going to leave my body. And I said, I don't want to get too far away. And she's like, but what if you do? And I said, call Matt. He'll know what to do. And her eyes are huge now. And she's like, what's Matt going to do? And Dan's like, oh, he'll just throw a bucket of cold water on her. I can handle that. But she came downstairs with a little one. I'm called Oma because I'm Dutch. And he kept touching me every half an hour. And she sat there with her stethoscope and blood pressure cuff. And when I came to, she was just sobbing. She said, there were just very little inklings that you were alive. It was like you were dead and you were just laying there. And she's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to understand this. And I'm like, it's okay. But I think the key was that the boys understood. Mm-hmm. They were born knowing that I would need their help in growing and learning and having them there. So what I love about them is no matter how crazy it seems, they take it in stride.
So they've really been a support for you.
Yeah.
I think this is beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I want to let the listening audience know that you've written a great book called God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped. Yeah. God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped. And my guest today is Patti Conklin, for those people listening, one of the, I think, most amazing medical intuitives on the planet. And, in your book, you say, we are what we say. We are what we say. And you mentioned in Chapter 2 that words have made us conditional beings. And I think there's something in there, I don't have the book right in front of me, but where you're thinking, oh, my God, there comes Sam or whoever. And then you say, hi, how you doing? Right?
Right.
Yeah, which is, it's such a conflict within the self right there.
It is. There's such a conflict between the subconscious and the conscious. And as soon as you create that conflict, energy stops moving. Your particles stop, and you start storing things. And especially if you're resentful towards Sam, then, the resentment is going to go where you've stored resentment your entire life. So energy is energy until it's not. And if you understand the importance of your words, there are times, we have to if we are an employer and we need to talk to our staff about, behavior or work stuff, there's always a way to say it lovingly and respectfully and still get your point across without being angry or frustrated or mean. And if you have a coworker and you just think they're worthless within the company, start looking at the soul. Stop looking at them as a human being. Start looking that their soul is identical to yours, and they came from exactly the same place, and they're walking the walk they're meant to walk, and it has nothing to do with you. And it helps people start pulling away a little bit. But what always struck me was that John chapter 1, verse 1, which says, first there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was within God. It doesn't say first there was God, and then the Word. First there was the Word, and I think the Word was frequency, was particles that evolved into a conscious state. and that when we broke off from Source and we came to different planets, because I think we did come from different planets, we started developing emotion. And as we began developing the emotion, then our frequency started slowing down because we were no longer in unconditional love. And because we needed to stay in sync with the universe, we added on what we call today the auric field. And I think we've spent the last 5,000-6,000 years mucking it up. And so much work is with the auric field. But I'm like, no, go deeper. Go into the originating energy field and get it clean from there, and the auric will clean automatically.
Yeah, I call it the seed of the problem, which to me is always a vibrational issue.
Yes.
It's kind of how I look at it. So,
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with you. You have to go in it deeper. A lot of the things, and you mention even in your book, a lot of alternative therapies, and many of them, and I do agree with you, many of them are very relaxing, and they're really wonderful. They help us calm ourselves down and get to a point where we can function.
Right.
But what you do is, and with the sound and color, because I'm just right on board with that. Let me just say that without talking about me, but to go in and actually change the vibration, to change the thought, to let the emotional content out of the body and the tissues, so to speak. I'd like you to say more about that, but hang on to the thought. We actually need to take a station break. And I want to let the listeners know, I'm going to put the phone number out because Patti is graciously going to open the lines and we're going to take callers. And believe me, you're going to want to call in and ask this woman a wonderful question. The numbers here at the radio station are 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. This is Loretta Brown. My guest today is medical intuitive and author and amazing person all around, Patti Conklin. We'll be right back. Benny, you find the most beautiful songs. How did you do that? I just
consider it a gift, I guess.
It is a gift, and it's just beautiful. So this is Loretta Brown. You're listening to the original Loretta Brown Show. My guest today is Patti Conklin, who is a world-class and world-renowned energy healer, medical intuitive, and author of God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped. And honestly, she's a beautiful woman, and she sees energies, and she just is got an amazing gift. So we do have the lines open for callers. The number's 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-5569. And once again, I'm reminding you, if I just said that and your heart fluttered, it's an opportunity for you. You never have to, but it's an opportunity to call in and be live on the air with Patti Conklin and, of course, me, Loretta Brown, and Benny. Hey. So there it is. And
we're all here.
Yeah, we're all here. Mm-hmm. We do have a caller. Let's go ahead and take our first caller.
Yeah, we'll take Amy calling in from Seattle. Hello, Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Loretta. Hi, Patti. And Benny does always pick the best music.
Why, thank you very much.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, I'm just wondering if my medical health, if there's anything that stands out for you.
If you would ask a specific question, are you having just, an area of your body? Let me.
Yeah, I do. I have. It's my right side. I have a right upper neck, and it's sort of a twisting of the neck and the right hip. It's all sort of one-sided issue.
Yeah, and it's actually your right kidney.
Oh, okay.
So it's your right kidney, and it's also going into L4. And so it's anger and frustration. You got a little bit of a mix there.
Okay.
And it started when you were about maybe 6.6 months old, and you've stored there ever since. And so what's happened is, because it's been in the kidney and you haven't been paying attention, it has sent a tendril up into your neck. So you can use color works. You could just say, what color do I need to remove anger and frustration from L4 and my right kidney?
Okay.
And don't worry about the neck, because once you get the core taken care of, it will all come into alignment. And then look at what happened in your life about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
That coincides with 6 years old.
So
and,
6 years old, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's been storing in your kidney for a long time, and then kind of combined with L4. But your body's in good shape. You got a good heart, good soul. Liver's looking good. Pancreas is looking good. But get that back cleaned up. Get L4 and the kidney cleaned out. And you really seem to be one of those people that when frustration hits, you just jam it down quickly.
That
it's
sounds
like,
right.
I don't want to feel this way. But what you're doing is you're throwing it into your kidney and creating problems.
Okay, so ask for a color then.
And the colors are going to change. And, people get so scared of colors, but it could come in as black or brown or whatever. They actually do the most work. They're the heaviest, the gunkiest, and you pull it up, always pull it up through the bottom of your feet, up your body, out your mouth. And the colors may change, 10 times in one breath, but do it for about 10 minutes. And let the colors change, and every single time you do it, and do it for about 30 days, and stay conscious of when you're feeling frustrated, and acknowledge that you're feeling frustrated, because just even a fraction of a second of frustration, you may as well felt it for an hour because it's gonna store the same amount. But other than that, you look really good. A little dehydrated, you need a little bit more potassium, but you're doing great.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Great. Thanks, Amy. And I love her question because it led into a little bit of discussion of your color works.
Mm-hmm.
Color works.
Yeah.
And how does imagining color being pulled through your body, how's that healing the low vibrations that you've got stored in there?
Yeah, great question.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 active frequencies in the world or in the universe, and it's color and tone. And everything else is passive. Reiki, therapeutic touch, oils, crystals, they're all passive. And it doesn't mean that they don't help you feel better, but they don't get into the nitty-gritty. And so when you're imagining a color, when you ask your body specifically what it needs to accomplish something, then your body pulls in the frequency, and we recognize it either by color or tone, and whichever one we want to use. And so people bring up the colors, and they're like, oh, it's orange. I detest orange. It's like, we're not looking at a color here. We're looking at a frequency. So, suck it up and go through it. So moving color inside of your body, even if you don't see it. I had both forms of lupus when I was 28, and I was just given a few more years to live. It had taken out my right kidney and I had a couple of heart failures and radiation for joints, and Father showed me how to move color, and I was so excited, and I moved color through for a couple of days, and nothing happened. And I realized that I had to understand the emotion that was behind the lupus, and it was lack of self-worth. And as soon as I said, what color do I need to remove my lack of self-worth and to increase my self-worth by 80%, symptoms stopped that day. And within a year, my blood work was perfect, and 30 years later, it's still perfect. So I think it's just really understanding that it's not, you can ask your body to calm down, but using color or tone and being specific. If my pain is really high, what color do I need to reduce my pain by 80%? And the reason I don't say 100% is most of us don't have the belief that we can heal ourselves.
Right.
If we could do 80%, your body will automatically start reducing your pain.
That's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. In my practice, I do what's called I just called it a combination session because I don't really know what to call it. I'm being honest. And so I found out actually when I went through my Reiki training, God brought sound in for me, sound and color. And so when I do a combination session, I use sound and color and a little bit of NLP and move. I've always gone after the emotion, and you just validated something for me kind of powerfully right there. So thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Those 2 are so important. And we have a CD called Tone Works. And my son Matthew, who's was executive director for 14 years. He's like, look, we need to get out a tone CD. And so we sat for 3 days listening to music, and all of a sudden this music came on that for me was so god-awful. It was just like it was scratching on a chalkboard. And he looked at me and he felt exactly the same way, and we're like, yep, this is it. And thousands of people around the world just love it. They're just like, oh, I want to listen to it all the time. And I'm like,
scratchy music, huh?
I can't even bear the thought of it.
It's great.
But, the tone is in, and so many years ago, I was actually just out in Nevada last week, and an old boyfriend had passed away. And when we started, I was just starting my work in color, and he was starting his work in crystal bowls. And he went on to do just amazing work with tone, and I went on to work more with color. And he passed away this spring, so I wanted to go out and spend some time with his daughter. And I told her, she's just got this room filled with crystal bowls, and I'm like, sweetie, we'll get them on our website and sell them for you, because he was just such a master. And he could just pick out the tone of what the body needed. And I would sit and watch him work and realize the depth of what the tone was doing. Took a little bit longer than color. But tone or color, it doesn't matter. Just use one or the other. And like I said, the other modalities help you feel better, but they're not necessarily getting the emotions that literally store within the peptide of your cell.
Got it.
That's where they store.
Yeah.
And you need to jiggle them out of there.
By the way, for the listeners, my guest Patti Conklin's written a great book called God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped, and she discusses her color works, visualization, and work in that book, and you'll want to check it out. But let's take another caller, Benny.
Trudy Marie calling in. Hello, Trudy Marie.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Trudy Marie. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Trudy. What
How
can
are
I
you?
help you with? I'm great.
I was just wanting to see if there's anything that I could do. I work a lot with various patients with various conditions. What I can do to help, like energy processes or anything in my body that I could clear so I can be more effective with my patients and my staff. I'm both a manager and a therapist.
Absolutely.
I'm a OT
One of the things that's really important at the end of each day is to do color works or tone works. Use color or tone, and say to your body, what color do I need to take out the emotions and words that I spoke today? You'll still have the memory of it, but you won't have the emotional kick. And it's important every day to clean out your body, because remember, your body doesn't have discernment capabilities. So everything you say, even if you're telling a story to teach, your body doesn't know you're just telling a story to teach. It's taking it in as literal truth. So it's important every day as a practitioner working with other people that you clean yourself every night, do a cleansing. And it's only 10 minutes. It's just something you can do before you go to sleep. And just work with it so that your body continues to be clear, and then go back into older memories, from when you were younger, and clean those out. It takes about 30 days to reframe a behavior or thought or emotion. So just kind of work with those. But, you've got a lot of stamina. And that's great. But remember, when you've got a lot of stamina like that and you're pushing a lot of energy and moving a lot of energy, make sure you're eating lots of potatoes or sweet potatoes to kind of keep that potassium level up. But just really work with, especially for you, your intestines. You store a lot in your gut, and so just be specific with that.
That's great, because I'm almost 70, and I feel like I'm only 35.
I'm turning 60 in 2 months, and I'm like, when did that happen? Oh goodness!
Yeah.
So you just keep going. You really help a lot of people just by being you.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're keeping yourself nice and healthy and strong, and keeping that potassium up.
Great.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trudy.
Thanks, Trudy. Have a great day. Let's take another caller, Benny.
Sure. We'll now have Melissa joining us from Seattle. Hello, Melissa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Loretta and
Hi.
Patti.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Hi, Melissa.
I'm good, thank you. I wanted to say thank you also for my Reiki that you did for me.
You're welcome.
I have, a couple quick questions. So,
Okay.
during my Reiki and my session with you, you mentioned the key for my voice, and I wanted to get some more specific, path I should be going towards with my voice. And then my second question would be, I started noticing about a week ago I was getting hives after eating, and I think it has to do with, there's just after everything that I've been going through with all the spiritual work I've been doing, certain foods I can't eat, and I'm trying to pinpoint what that food is because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. You want to pull that one, Loretta, or you want me to pull that one?
You go ahead. You go ahead and start because I want to put you first in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give a fresh perspective.
Okay.
So there's two things that are going on, three things that I noticed. First, I want you to drop try out of your vocabulary because it's a futuristic term that means subconsciously I really don't want to do it. And so let go of the word try, attempt, moving forward, progressing. Those are good words to use. The second thing that was really noticeable in terms of your voice is it really, the core of that is that T7 and kind of going up through your vocal cords. And so T7 is really core area. And so if you're doing some more Reiki and some more work with Loretta, really focus on that T7 area. And the food, in terms of what your body is wanting and needing, it needs a lot more protein base. And I don't know what you're eating right now, but a lot more protein base, a lot of really dark greens. And is there any specific food that you're eating that you really notice your body being upset with?
I think that it's like dairy products.
Okay. All right. So really, I would do a kind of a small cleanse, for 2 days or so. Just kind of stay with broth and Jell-O and just soft stuff and let your body just kind of regroup a little bit. And then move into the dark greens, and then move into some of the proteins, tofu if you're vegan. But your body needs more protein. But T7 is really an issue for you.
What is T7?
T7 is right at your bra line, right where you, and it's also on the other side of your heart center. And so sometimes when we don't know how to set appropriate boundaries, instead of our heart center going outward to other people, it ends up coming out the back because we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not taking care and setting boundaries of what we need. And so you kind of get this bleed through. Mm-hmm. So T7 is an interesting area for you and one that I would encourage you to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just going to say yay. Good way of putting it into great perspective. Everyone talks the same but a little different. And, just to add to that, Melissa, everything Patti's saying is really supporting, the concept of, how do we find our voice? What does it mean to have a voice? And where in the body do we need to be in order to have that? What's the emotional content behind that, right? And some of the work, is, when did you lose your voice? Did you lose it? Or did you put it somewhere? And how to reconnect that and the heart. I always think self-love is one of the big things, and self-love does have to do with those boundary issues. And also, being a strong empath, where do we draw the edge of how much do I put out there and how much do I pull back, right? And that's thoughts around a deeper energetic thing.
Yeah. And could I interject?
Yes.
Age 4 is when you lost your voice.
Yeah.
Age 4 is when you lost your ability to stand up for yourself, to speak, to set boundaries. And I think it was probably a very natural thing that took place with your parents. But at 4, you began to understand that you were separate from your parents. 3 to 4 is usually when that happens. And at 4, you were really just wanting to explore everything and really held back and you shut down. And so sometimes it's as easy as understanding that and then move forward with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one last comment. You're getting a lot today, Melissa. When we have lost our voice or we don't know, all the issues we've talked about, boundaries and how do I present myself and, do I have a backbone? What's going on? There's this heat, like anger, because we store that in the spine and sometimes hives are like, whoa, something's under my skin, right? What's got me going, right? So you just kind of gently, and I know Patti agrees with me, it's just gently taking a look at things without judgment, just observe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just observe. You've got to remember that you're perfect in the eyes of the universe. Mm-hmm. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And so it's never about judgment of ourselves. It's like every breath you've taken, you have learned lessons. And it's your perception of those lessons that you can change very gently and say, wow, I'm pretty darn awesome, and I'm moving forward even to a more awesome level. And I don't need to judge what happened in the past. I can be grateful for the lessons that I learned with every breath I took and become stronger as I move forward.
Yeah. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Look forward
Thank you.
A specific meditation or something for the chest?
Again, I would use color works, tone works, something that has music or tone. And your question would be, what color do I need to remove the anger and loss of self from T7?
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and once again, you might want to get Patti Conklin's book, God Within, The Day God's Train Stopped, because she talks in detail about color works in there. She gives you the whole visualization, and it's a great book. It's got all kinds of wonderful things that you can work through. And she also brought up a little, briefly, the smallest comment I want to make is remember that your words are stored in your body and your immune system, and Patti talks at length about that in her book. So what you say to yourself, what you think to yourself, and even what you say to other people comes back to you. So
so true.
Yeah, so let's take another caller.
Very quickly, we only have a couple minutes left in the show. So Alexa from Seattle, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking this call. I guess I'll just be real quick. I wanted to know if you might be able to comment on what I might be able to do to increase my immune health. I'm doing pretty good now, but I went through, this last year was just on and off colds and flus, and I eventually got bronchitis, and I took everything in the world that I could.
Right, right.
And it just is I know that there's some things in my daily life that I need to change, but I just get this overall sense that my immune system is blocked somewhere. I get the feeling that I have to sort of take a year off or something, which is just, of course, I can't do.
You don't need to do that. What you need to understand is that you've stored abandonment and betrayal in your right ovary area, and it's what's actually blocking from the immune system. Your immune system's working at about 65%, and we really don't want it below 80 in order to stay healthy and stay on top of things. So the abandonment, betrayal, it could be something as simple as, being 3 years old and the dog not coming home and crawling in bed with you, and you felt, abandoned. Because remember, the emotions store at the age that you were. And so when you look back as an adult, you go, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Well, at 3 years old, it was a big deal. But it's stored in your right ovary, and it's kind of just congested and kind of cut off the bottom half of your energy field of your body from the top. And so your immune system just isn't getting enough energy. So I would work with the abandonment, betrayal, and right ovary, and you'll notice that your immune system really starts picking up.
Great. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alexa. Yeah. We've got just a short, 1 minute left. I'm going to ask you really quick, Patti. I've been having a lower right pain.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, real quick.
Real quick.
Yeah.
About 7.5, and it is resentment.
Good.
So work with it.
That's it. All right. So this is Loretta Brown. My guest today is the amazing, wonderful Patti Conklin. Please get her book, God Within the Day's Train, The Day God's Train Stopped. And you can find more about her at patticonklin.com, and also Colorworks. Bring it into your life, color and sound. Have a great, great day. Love each other, love yourself, and enjoy the weather. Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll talk to you next time.